Today I want to talk to you about 10 things you can do as a betraying spouse to help your partner recover, to help the betrayed spouse heal in everything that they're going through in this difficult process that we're in. It's such an encouraging thing to me that there are things you can do as a betraying spouse to be helpful to them, even though you can't go back and undo what it is that happened. So I want to dive in here. I want to help you out because it's my heart that you would be tremendously successful, that you're able to be the person God has called you to be and to help in healing your marriage. And the very first thing I want to say is full and complete honesty is a must. We call it full disclosure here at My Counselor, but basically what that means is that we have gone through as a couple, typically with a counselor, an experienced counselor who's worked with infidelity, and mapped out what it is that's happened throughout the course of this betrayal so that everything's on the table. The full and complete truth is out there. So if you haven't done that yet, find somebody in your area or contact us at MCO. Let's walk through that process. And step 2, feeding into that, is over time they may have additional questions or want to re-ask things or revisit details of the infidelity. And I want to respond to those questions, those things that they want to talk about with gentleness and patience. Even if we're reviewing the same thing multiple times, each and every time, I want you as the betraying spouse to come at that with gentleness, patience, and compassion. A great way to respond to your spouse is, I want to answer that for you, or absolutely we can talk about that again. In the event that your spouse ever asks you something that you genuinely can't remember, and this happens, sometimes our spouse asks us a detail, and as we search our memories, we really can't remember what it is they're asking us. It is okay to say, hey, I don't know the answer to that, but be sure to follow that up with, I'm going to take the next 24 hours to just really scour through my brain to find the answer, to really think about it so that I can come back to you and answer that question. Number 3, understand you're working to become the man or woman God has for you to be, not just working to keep your spouse from leaving you. It's a really unstable place to be when a betrayed spouse thinks that, well, you're just doing what you need to do to keep me from walking out that door, and that's all you're really doing. What they need to know, what you need, is for that change to come from the core of who you are. That I am changing the man or woman I am to be that man of integrity, that woman of integrity that's following after God, God and becoming the man or woman God has for me to be. Out of that, the rest of it will come. Being a person of fidelity and truthfulness and commitment. All of that will flow out of that foundation of who you are. Number 4, if you're a man, if you're a husband, I want to speak to you about leading your home spiritually. God has called you to this, and so you need to be the one making sure that your family is involved in attending church, that you are taking time in the Bible and in prayer. And I really want you to take the lead in that, to set that tone, and to show your family that you are serious about your commitment with God and take that leadership role that God has for you. If you're a wife, obviously biblically you're not charged to be the spiritual leader of your home, but you are called to be leading spiritually in your life. And so I want to encourage you to do the same thing in regards to pursuing your relationship, your walk with the Lord, really getting on top of that. Number 5, don't trust yourself. Now, I know that sounds kind of strange at first here, but I want to explain what I mean by that. You need to own the reality that you're just coming out of a season of extraordinary self-deception and denial. You've been living in this world of lies for a long time, and you're on your way out of that. You're coming out of that. And as you come out, you cannot instantly transition from a place of self-deception and denial to a spot of being totally clear and understanding everything that you need to understand. And that's no knock on you. I'm not saying anything about that is a deficit, that you can't make that instant transition. I'm just saying, hey, that's reality for all of us. So you need other people's thoughts and perspective. You need other people's help to help you untangle and really get a solid footing. It's far better for you to say, hey, I need other people to hold me accountable. I need to be running my thoughts by others who love the Lord and love me. I can't just count on myself anymore. Remember this, the Bible puts it this way in Jeremiah 17:9. The human heart is the most deceitful of all things, desperately wicked. Who really knows how bad it is? But I, the Lord, search the hearts and examine secret motives. The Bible shoots us straight there. Our hearts are deceitful. We can't do it on our own. Number 6, love your spouse even from a distance. Loving your betrayed spouse is not going to be easy, and many of you out there may be saying amen to that. It's hard. They are hurting. They are angry. They're confused. And so many times as you attempt to love them, you're not getting a lot back from them. Or maybe what you are getting back from them is hostility or accusations or lots and lots of questions ongoing. But as you show up, and I say show up, don't be distant, show up day after day, lovingly, patiently, it makes a huge difference. Even if you're loving them from a distance, even if they say, hey, I don't want to talk to you, but you stay present and you're loving them from a distance. I can tell you, I remember hearing from a wife once, she said, I was so hard to love during that time. I had so much anger, I had so much hurt, I was questioning my husband all the time, I would tell him how angry I was. I was hard to be around. But day after day, he showed up with patience and compassion. And every time he did that, I remembered that. It made an impact on me. And over time, that led me to a place where I was able to feel trust with him and get close with him. And I'm so appreciative of that today. Number 7, be clear on what you want, meaning I want a great marriage. I want to be the person God's called me to be. Don't set your spouse up as the thermostat for the future of the relationship. So often, betrayed spouses kind of become the gauge for where we're at. Basically, what you'll do is you'll look over and say, hey, if they're having a good day, we're doing great and things are good. If they're having a bad day, oh no, maybe we can't make it. And you can even look at them. A lot of times a betraying spouse will look at their partner and just say, hey, how do you feel? Do you think we can make it? Do you still want to be with me? And what your betrayed spouse needs from you is for you to be anchored in what you are going to do, what you want and what God has for you to do. And so being steadfast in, regardless of whether my betrayed spouse had a hard day or a great day, I am committed to this marriage. I am about this marriage, and I'm about becoming the person God has for me to be. Number 8, be willing to get rid of items and reminders of the affair partner or the infidelity. Examples of items or reminders might be, let's say, a vehicle that the affair partner rode in, or perhaps a set of furniture that they sat on in a home. And just remember this, it's actually a blessing. It's not your spouse, your betrayed spouse, being ridiculous, because what they're saying to you when they say, hey, can we get rid of that, is I want to be with you. I want to be in this marriage with you. And so if I see anything in our lives that's a hindrance to that, can we get rid of that? Can we not have that there? And so I want you to see it. I want you to understand that's what they're doing. Number 9 is take time to create new memories with your spouse and your family. Sometimes in the midst of pain, it's like we have to be nose deep in it constantly. If we're not constantly talking about the infidelity, if we're not constantly processing our pain, then we're really not taking it seriously, or we're not getting where we need to go. And I want to encourage you, that will wear you guys out. In the midst of this time, you need times of relaxing. You need times of laughing. You need to remember, why are we working on this marriage in the first place? And so don't hesitate as a couple to take time to create new memories together. Number 10, the final one, and this one may be the hardest one of all, work towards forgiving yourself. This can sound absolutely crazy or insurmountable. In fact, I had this conversation regularly with betraying spouses, and they're saying, I can't imagine that. I don't deserve to be forgiven, so how could I forgive myself? Or if I see my spouse hurting, then I need to not forgive myself as a way to kind of balance that out. I deserve to not be forgiven. And I always respond and say, listen, the Bible's very clear. None of us deserves forgiveness, and yet God gives it to us, and He commands us to do it. And this includes ourselves. You really do yourself, your spouse, and your marriage no favors by punishing yourself, by trying to inflict pain on yourself by not forgiving. I really want to challenge you that an important part of this process and in being able to heal and love your spouse well and be the man or woman God's called you to be is actually forgiving yourself. You won't lose anything, and you'll gain an awful lot. Well, I hope these things have been an encouragement to you as a betraying spouse, and I'm going to look forward to seeing you in our other videos.